Welcome everyone one more time to Product Notes. Here one more day with Tomas. How are you doing?
I'm amazing, Mario. How are you?
I'm good. It's quite hot today, I have to say.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Which time is it already that we meet here?
Here is the fourth time.
Okay, time flies.
Yeah, lots of episodes.
It's actually your fifth time.
No, fifth episode. Fourth time we are doing it here. The other time we did it.
The one was in the office.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have two guests today with us.
Who already almost introduced themselves.
Yeah. So how are you doing, Maayan? How are you doing?
I'm great.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Good. And you, Raphael, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Very happy to be here.
Yes, of course. I like Lithuania.
Yeah. How many times have you been?
50-something.
50-something. Second home, huh? Yeah, amazing. And you, Maayan, how many times have you been?
This is my third.
Third time. I'm getting used to it. You can catch up. No worries.
Yeah. Few years and she's like me.
Yeah.
So guys, just to get a bit better, a few blitz questions for you to answer quickly and for our listeners to understand better who you are, what you do. So let's get started. Maayan, let's start with you. So Maayan, what is your official role at Wix?
I'm head of editor platform.
Raphael?
I'm professor of product.
Okay. Raphael, what is your actual role?
I'm in charge that all of the PMs at Wix will be amazing in their jobs.
How many PMs we have?
More than 250.
250 PMs.
Do you know them all by their names?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow.
250 people. It's a large number already to remember everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Maayan?
So I'm leading an amazing team, which is responsible of adding applications into the editors.
Okay. How many years are you at Wix?
5 years.
5 years.
Almost.
Raphael?
I'm 14 years at
14
Wix.
years.
Yeah, a lifetime.
Yes. More than third than my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so given that it's 1/3 of your life, what do you love most at work?
The people. Like, I think Wix is amazing company that do many great things and the product is super interesting, but the thing I like the most is the people.
Maayan?
So adding on top of the people also the dynamic. I love the very quick things and the way things are being managed super quickly all the time.
Okay, let's look into the opposite side. What do you hate most at work? Be honest.
Now
Maayan.
it starts the real podcast starts now.
Hate is such a big word.
Yeah, hate is a big word.
Dislike.
Dislike is better.
Dislike.
So I less like the part where we can't succeed in what we wanted. So I think it's challenging to say sometimes we failed.
Raphael?
I think sometimes I dislike we are so big now that it's not always clear, like, where should we focus for everyone, I mean, in the company. More than 5,000 employees. I think it's hard to tell everyone where to focus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you joined, probably they were like, what, couple of hundred?
100.
100. So you have seen the evolution of
Of course.
the company.
And it was very easy back then because the product was editor, the Flash editor, that was like the product.
Mm-hmm.
So no verticals, no other things.
And now we have a totally different one, right? Like it's
Focus.
upside down.
Yeah, I mean, now we want to achieve many things, and I think it's great, right? Because we basically won our first chapter, like the DIY chapter, but we still have.
What is DIY, Raphael?
DIY is the self-creator. It's like the users that doing themselves, building the site by themselves using Wix platform. And the crowd we want to focus now is the partners, the one that build for others, because majority of the internet is built by professional for other people. And we have a huge challenger there, but also a huge opportunity. So this is super cool.
I think we have heard already a couple of times the word platform already, like Maayan is on your official title, right? Editor platform. And you have mentioned Wix platform or editor platform, don't remember. And we're here today to talk about open platform, right? And when I was preparing it and I was talking in the office with some people, like, hey, we're going to talk about that. A lot of people mentioned that the thing that they found more difficult to understand is what's the difference between open platform and open source. Like, maybe you could tell us, like, what do you think is the difference and what would differentiate there, Maayan?
So It's a good question. Open platform is basically a software system that is built in a way that can be extended. That product can build on top of it and can be beneficial from them. And open source is the code itself that is free and available for everyone. So there is some similarity, but it's not exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. You want to add something?
I think it's important to say that Wix is not open source, and there is no plans of being that.
Do you think it's like a mistake or a benefit for our users?
It depends who you're asking, right? Okay, it's our strategy, first of all, so it's not a mistake. Some users will tell you, of course, I want the code because I want to control the code. But being open source also have downsides, because being a closed source, you get all the things out of the table, like security, stuff like that. I think it's better for the users, but again, it will depends who you ask.
Mm-hmm. So talking about building a product that is a platform, how do we start? From where do you start building a product that is a platform? What do you say?
So I think we need to take a look at the platform product as any other product, basically. So the research and the user talks and trying to define the problem, trying to identify a generalized solution for everything. But there's some important part where you need to stop and think whether I want to be a solution or a product that I either sell or do, or I want to become a platform that others can build on top of me. And once you decided that you're a platform, then it's a whole new world.
What are the key factors that will differentiate you? What do you think are the ingredients that a product has that says, okay, this product has the right ingredients to become a platform?
I think if it's first of all, it means some others need to use you, right? If it's only a specific solution, so it's out of the question. It should be something that obviously you're gonna reuse in many times. This should be the first thing. Once you have that, it's then you can think about which kind of platform you want to be, because there are also many kinds.
Let's say I'm a product manager in a platform team. Who's my user?
You mean?
Who should I go talk to? Who's my customer?
Maayan talk about the research, right? The user talks.
How they do the research? How they do customer interviews?
But you want the Wix specifically answer or in general?
In general.
Okay, because you have both the internal developers as your users, and you have both the user facing, like the end users, as your users. And in Wix, you also get like external developers. So you have few kind of users.
Do you think it makes sense? Like, let's imagine that I'm again a PM in a platform team, and there is some other team, because usually many platform teams, they are like some internal teams within companies. Even at Wix, we have quite many.
But any other
teams.
company is very common to find. I'm doing internal platform for internal development.
Exactly, like Google, Meta, Amazon.
I think in every company
that is large enough,
internal company that do the platform.
Exactly. So let's imagine that I'm providing some kind of feature as a platform, and there are, let's say, 3 or 4 other teams using it. As a PM, if my customer is just those teams, do you think it also makes sense to go speak to their users or not?
Definitely. So first of all, our direct client is the developer and product of the team. But sometimes you need to get the bigger picture, most of the times, and then you also go to the next level, and you need to understand the user's need. It helps us when we do the research. It helps us to generalize the problem. And then it's also help us to understand that if it's a cross people, cross sectors issue, or is it just something that is very specifically only to them? So yes.
Do you think you can lose the perspective because you are not talking to your user directly? You are talking to the user that will use that product. Do you think the fact that you might not have the whole business knowledge of what those users are doing will impact on the way you interview, you get the knowledge?
So yes, I think it's very important. And we're doing it. I'm happy to say that in my team, we're a platform that is close to the business and close to the editor users, which is kind of unique to other platforms, but it's very important to understand not only the direct users, but also the next level. And also in Wix, we have the user of users, so it's another level. So yeah, I think it's
you
important.
wanted to add something?
Yeah, but Maayan did it perfectly.
Very good.
It's super important to speak both with your direct and their users. You like you said, you have to understand the business because it's not a vacuum. You need to understand the intent. So you need to understand both. But you can also use your internal users to tell you about the business more. You don't need to be expert in all the businesses. It doesn't make sense as a platform.
And so we talk about user interviews a little bit. The PM, how does the PM do research? How do we do competitors research, for example? How do we check what other platforms are doing? What are the tips?
So basically, it's exactly like what we do in a regular product work. We go to see the other competitor platforms. We look at documentation. We look what they allow to do in their platform. We look like which APIs they have and stuff like that.
But with the documentation, it's not addressing mainly the PMs or the users. The documentation they do is very addressed to the developers, right?
Yes.
Because open platforms, they talk developer to developer. Having PMs in the question, like looking at the research, do you think you need to be a technical product manager to be working in a platform product because it's kind of like a more close to API level, SPIs, or words that for some PMs might be difficult?
So I think it depends on the platform specifically, because there are differences even in platforms. But in general, yes, I think one of the roles or one of the things that a product manager in platform should have is some technical understanding. In our company, most of them came from R&D before, and I think it's useful. It's not a must, but you need to have this orientation and thinking. You need to understand APIs. You need not to be afraid of them. You need to be able to do a conversation with developers. Those are our direct users most of the time.
Raphael, you think you can teach it?
How you define technical PM? Like, what is a technical PM for you?
For me, it's a technical PM, someone that has a background.
As a developer?
Not as a developer. It could be education. Not actually that have done some actual real-life coding, but maybe did some engineering or computer science, or it comes from the more, even the higher school, instead of doing more economics or so, it was more from the science part. You kind of have like this inner self of wanting to be more technical, but you never actually execute it. Like you have a little bit of this nerdy inside, in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yes, and you ask if I can teach it. So yes, obviously.
To someone that is not that profile.
We had a few examples of PMs that didn't know anything technical and became, they understand everything and they can read the APIs and can help defining them and stuff like that. So of course you can teach. In the end, it's logic, yeah?
Could you help me understand, like, since I'm coming from like deep R&D background, I always was wondering, like, putting aside what you know, how we work and so on, but let's say to our listeners, it might be a bit new. Let's say, what is basically a role of a PM when it comes to defining APIs? And like, let me expand a bit my question. So a few months ago, I read one post. There is one like guy who's publishing books, like how to crack interviews in FANG companies. Like if you are applying for a developer role in Facebook, Apple, Netflix, so on. He basically launched a huge graph, like with all the stuff that you need to know about APIs in order to design them well. Basically, no. And these guys were, graduates of Stanford, so on. Anyway, they're reading those books, in order to define good APIs. You need to understand what is REST, what is RESTful, how to define resources, what should be the URL structure, why it makes sense to do it one way or another way, how to do pagination. There's so many details, basically. And when I personally know all of this, and then I talk to PMs, and how do I tell them what do I want from them? Like when it comes to designing APIs, like what should be my expectation from a product manager? If basically we want to launch some kind of API, what should I ask them?
So, okay, first of all, let's put it first thing on the table. The product manager shouldn't design the API. It's the developer work completely. The developer should understand the cases, right? So the product manager should define the use cases, the different cases we want to support, And then the developer can understand, okay, we're going to support this and that. I need to do, to allow in my API to connect like that. And I need to add, I don't know, this field. But PMs don't need to know, the fields and the naming and stuff like that. They can know if it's interesting them, but it should be about the use cases.
But then how do you do a proper competitors research, for example?
So I think it's a bit different designing API and being able to read the API. I think as a product, you need to define what you want. If we'll take like a small example, I have like a progress part, and me as a product, I can say I want it to be open, I want to update the states, and I want to close it. Mm-hmm. And then I can say, okay, I want someone else to be able to control the title, the image, the text. Mm-hmm. This is defining an API.
Okay.
And I think this is something that every product should have, not just platform products. And if we're going back to the question of how do you do research, then APIs are one thing. Most of the time, the API is already like the end of the goal and not the actual platforms. Most of the time, the platform itself is not really, open and publicly. So you need to do some reverse engineering here. But I think it's a bit different, like knowing how to write APIs and designing them, which it's a complete profession. Mm-hmm. Like it's something big. We have API masters. Most of the time they're not product in Wix. And I think it's good. I think this is how it should be. But the conversation, you need to be able to make a conversation with your developer in order to explain to him what do you want, and then there's like a back and forth.
So I think it's a great example that you brought. Like, also to the listeners, let's imagine something visual. You say, mm-hmm. let's say progress bar inside, Wix editor or something, okay, like you can do the competitor analysis, how it looks elsewhere. What do you want in that? But, at the end of the day, there is a developer either in some other team or it's an external developer in some, other company, and they need to call some kind of API. And that API, like how much of product manager's effort should be put to design that part? Would you say very little, none, given that you already presented it visually?
So if we're talking only on the part where designing what others should face, mm-hmm. I think it's important that you will have I'm not talking about the syntax, okay? The mm-hmm. syntax might change, and of course in Wix mm-hmm. we have like a full theory about it, and there's and this is how it should be done. But eventually, I think it's something that is important that the product will define. Even in high level, it's important the product will say with his team members. Of course, now with programs and milestone, everything is going together. It's something that you need to define because this is the entry point for platform products to your product. So it's important.
A couple of years ago, there were no platforms at Wix, or there were no one naming themselves as a platform, maybe very few. We started with it. I remember when we said, okay, we want to be open platform, was what,
5, 6 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. We want to be open platform.
Yeah.
What do you think was the eureka moment to say, okay, we need to become open platform?
That's, it's a very familiar thing that Avishai said many times, that in order to actually becoming a super successful company, no company did it without being like a platform company. And we can try to be the first, but why to do so? It will be better to open our platform and
because great examples of companies, Amazon, open platform, Google,
Apple,
open platform. So we're just following the success of others.
We're following the pattern. That's why they are doing this, because they understand as well they cannot do anything. They cannot do the long tail. They cannot tailor-made everything, and neither do us, right? We have now 260 million users. We want to have many more. We can never do something that will cater everyone's specific needs, like ever. Even if we will have 3,000 developers, 30K developers, we will never do it. Like if we open the platform, we have the power of basically every developer in the world.
So we should transition every product we have to become a platform? An open platform?
No.
Okay. Where is the line? Where do you say like your product should be open platform, your product shouldn't be open platform, and it should be still closed?
I think... once you go to platform, you almost never go back to be a product. So it should be something that you decide on doing and not just evolving on it. And I mostly think that once you understand that by opening the platform or presenting yourself as a platform will gain more value to your users and will give them the opportunity to create users for themselves. This is where you need to say this is a platform.
Mm-hmm. Something to add?
I think we need just to differentiate a bit between being a platform and between open APIs. Like it's not exactly the same thing.
Can you
elaborate? Of
yes.
course. Like Maayan is leading a team that is a platform, right? She's a platform for all the editors in Wix. We have the classic one, we have Studio, we have blogs, we have more. We have OS, they are platform for all the dashboard things. We have ecom platform for all the ecom vertical. They are pure platforms. Blog, for example, needs to open API. So I'm coming as a developer, as a Velo developer, or as a TPA, and I want to extend them specifically. But it's not, the mindset of a platform in mind. It's not like the blog is working for other teams all the time. It's not like the mindset Maayan team and other teams has, like as a platform, that they need to extend abilities to support editors and stuff like that.
So you put the line on, if I have internal customers inside the company, I am an platform product. But if I have external only customers, I'm opening my product for others to extend, but I'm not a platform.
I wouldn't go by internal and external.
Okay.
Some platform have internal and external. So I wouldn't put it on that. I would more put it on the fact that if we'll go with blog, then I think blog will always be the major. And everything that you open APIs and everything can and others can extend blog or use the APIs for using blog basically. Blog will still be the main thing, but in the platform, this is a very thin, lean layer, and what is built on top of it, this is the main thing. So I think it's a bit.
I like the definition.
But like,
New definition for our book.
like looking a bit more, let's say, to even a bit simplify it, let's say there are still some teams which are platforms by definition, and they might serve both internal and external customers.
Maayan case is a great example.
Yeah. My question is, in such cases, does it make sense or it doesn't? And why? To serve the same APIs?
It's a great question. I think you should aim for it always, to have the same APIs, the same abilities, especially once you decided that you want to
But
open
it makes
to
your life
external.
much harder.
Yes.
Like 10 times harder.
Yes. It won't have to be the case if you decided it from the beginning. Obviously, sometimes you open...
Speak from experience. Gave you the answer.
Yeah.
I think for obvious reasons, once you want to roll out internally, then the documentation doesn't have to be super
good.
perfect.
You can always call.
Yeah, you cannot call. No numbers, no phone calls. But it's different. Once you decide, of course, you're going to go external and you're the official platform, then the API should be perfect, documentation should be perfect. Everything that open platform is basically based on. So it's different.
I want to add to that I also think it should be the same. And I think also when you do it internal, you need to do real documentation, because if you don't do it, efficiency sucks. Okay, let's be real. You need to go to someone at Wix to help you. It's not good, the scenario.
Yeah.
You need to read your developer need to read documentation.
Let me challenge you for a second.
Yeah.
How do you know you're designing the perfect API? Once you make it like when you document it and you make it out there, do changes are extremely difficult because some people might be already using it and so on. So when you're starting, it's much easier to say, okay, I will not share it anywhere. I will give it, get feedback, understand if I have built the right thing, because I will be able to do changes much faster, right? I don't need to wait for everyone because it's not documented. So if I introduce a breaking change, it was not documented before, it's not documented now, nothing have changed, and I am able to adapt much faster. Of course, I have a smaller group of people that I can communicate, it's much faster and so on. So sometimes it makes sense not to release or not to do it perfect from the beginning.
If you are in a POC stage or stuff like that and you want to taste the water, so cool, I agree with you. If you know you're gonna do it, like it's for sure gonna be like that. First of all, how you do a good API, how you know you do a good product. We have good people here that do the right research, right?
Yes.
So we need to do that. But I think that if like, if it's more than a POC, we are like lying to ourselves.
But you are like gathering feedback. Like, if I put it out there, even if no one is using it, because I don't know if someone is already using it in reality. But if I don't have documentation, I know the people that I have kind of sent the draft. Hey, use it. I may change it or not. Do you understand what I mean?
I have to say that this is one of the things in my mind that are different between product specific and platform.
Okay.
In product, when you in blog or any events, you must tweak every time and do small changes in order to get the best event ever. But in a platform, this is not really common methodology. You're not really tweaking APIs. It's a very risky migration-oriented solution. So I think in the concept or in the mindset, it's already different. But it shouldn't prevent us from doing usability, and we do that. We offer APIs. We do it with our clients. We sometimes send them like, can you use that? Will it help? And pre-launch it internally. And so it's not exactly the same, but...
Okay.
I'm also on the side that I'm not sure if it's a good idea to hurry a lot often. One thing I will say as a ex-developer speaking in front of free product, why it doesn't make sense is because you guys will change requirements. Never happens, right?
I'll take the developer hat here. I will use my...
Yeah. Okay, I think we have quite a few more things that we would like to talk today. And one of, we kind of discuss it, but I think I would like to get a bit more deep into it. Is like why every company should become an open platform company, and when is the moment where like it makes sense? Is it something that you should plan from the beginning? Let's say if we have listeners now from a small startup, 2-3 people should now be thinking that they should be an open platform, or it's more like once it's about time, you will figure it out and you will do it.
Or maybe even if you're a bit bigger company now, also like maybe you're at a stage where you're plateauing. Thinking of what to do, whether to invest into being open platform or not.
Who wants to take it?
I think both of us will answer.
Choose you.
First of all, it's a great question. There is no simple answer for that, right? There is no, we do it when you get to 200 employees, and it's not like a magic moment.
No, but should be done from the beginning, or there is a moment where like you should actually do it.
I can tell you, to think from the beginning is nice in theory, I think, right? Because like you really need to see, if you are a startup, you need first to get market share and you need to see your product is working, right? So I think you want to see first that it's available. When Apple released the first iPhone, App Store wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Like they wanted to see the product is working. Like I think for small startups, you first want to see you succeeding as your software, as your solution. Once you get a user base and you get a market share, you understand where you are playing. It depends of what is your solution. Like if it's a solution that catering a lot of user types, it's maybe worth thinking about. I want to expand my solution and maybe allow it to be open.
Mm-hmm.
I think first of all, there's no good recipe of you need to do this once you get to this, that. Second, I think it's also depends on your funding and your patience, because becoming a platform takes it's expensive in time also. It's not something that you do very quickly. I would think from the beginning, like you said, on whether this is going to serve cross segments, cross business cases, and then I will aim to platform. I would probably not start from platform immediately unless I am 100% convinced this is will benefit me. But even if I will start as a platform, I recommend, and we did it multiple times in Wix, to become a platform and the first client for yourself. So do the product and do the platform, and then you serve yourself first. You make sure this is really working well, and then release it to others.
I have to say the best platforms at Wix, the best teams that works at platform are those that use their own product, because they actually have good documentation. When you come and tell them this doesn't make sense, they are like, they put the same face that you put, like, oh yes, I understand you, like it's the same problem for us. And those that don't use their own product as much, they are like more protective to do changes, like they are a bit more sensitive about it. So using your own platform is the best advice.
I want to talk about another part of open platform, which I think we haven't yet touched, is actually product marketing. Like if you think now about any kind of regular product, which is not technical by design, let's say, I don't know, some e-commerce or anything. And usually what you do to get users, you do ads, you do other types of marketing. It's kind of a standard thing. If you are already successful, it's known how to do. And then suddenly you decide, okay, I want to be open platform. And as we already talked, it means different customers, right? Now you are talking about I don't know, developers, probably in agencies or I don't know who.
I think Apple is a great example. When they launched their marketplace, they opened their API so developers can develop apps there.
Yeah. So let's say, okay, we agree to have an open platform strategy. Now we have a great APIs, documented, everything is nice. We have users of our, not platform, but of our, regular product. And now we want to invite, people into our platform to start using those APIs and so on. How to do that? That's a new type of,
user type.
Yeah, new user type, new market, basically.
It's a good question. We're really doing that with marketing in Wix. We have a great marketing department. And developers is a different user type. And, we need to have, first of all, great documentation, because developers going first to documentation. And you need to speak with them as you speak with regular user by intent, like what they gaining from it and what they can achieve and why it's worth for them to use like our solution. In Wix case, you get exposed to millions of users, and you can get money out of it, obviously.
So first comes the user and then comes the developer? First comes the developer and then comes the user. What comes at the egg or the chicken?
First the user, in my opinion, because if how you will attract developer if you don't have what to offer?
How do you attract users if you don't have what to offer?
I think it's a very good chicken and an egg. We've been talking about it along in the last period of time. Developer is also super critical here, because not all developers are alike. Some are low code, some are super professional, some prefer self-hosted. Some prefer to do everything on your platform. Some already familiar with other platforms. Some are completely new. So it's very important in this level of research to understand also who are your developers. They're not always the same. And then when you build the product or the dev tool, it's important to aim it to the developer. But of course, the end goal is to reach good amount of users.
I don't know. For me, it's like in order to attract, we have this problem, of course, of attract, and we're talking about that a lot. But if you don't have any users at all, so why the developer will come?
So the same around, right? If you don't have what to offer good, why the user will come?
No, you are okay. And let's take Wix and let's take Apple solutions.
I understand that Wix, because we have a large and we started the open platform much later, we had the users problem solved, right? But we might have here people that might say, okay, I want to attract developers because I cannot develop everything.
And you don't have your own base of nothing?
Well, I have something, but what is attractive for a developer? Do I need to bring more users? It's like, it's a problem of marketing. Because if you're a small startup and you have, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of users, might be not attractive for some developers, right?
I can tell you, let's take Windows Phone, okay? It's a product that wasn't that successful, and they have their own store. Obviously, it wasn't good to develop that for that store because no users. So I still think you have to have a base that's working with users, and then you can attract the external developers. Because if not, I don't see how you can bring them. They are coming to make money, let's be honest here.
Also, from what I know, I think it's quite popular. I won't mention some companies, but actually to pay developers to come with apps into their platform.
This is also
So
a marketing approach.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I heard another podcast by Slack that were saying exactly the same thing. Like the product marketing of reaching out to developers and like paying them or use them to use your platform will go only for a certain amount of time, especially for developers. They will know very quickly if their platform if they're gaining anything from your platform or it's just a scam. So I think it's good, like any good marketing, but you need to have the user base and you need to have some leverage to attract them to build on top of you.
I think we are almost like, we wanted to be around 40 minutes today. We are like 36. So I think it's maybe...
Time flies.
Yeah, time flies very
It's
fast.
like 2 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah, but it's very hot. So
It's very hot. Actually, I prefer winter at this time. Maybe we start wrapping things up. What do you think, Tomas?
Of course. So what have we learned today?
that many people see open platform as different things, and it's not one clear, definition that everyone can understand and maybe sure what does it mean. And I think that sometimes it might not clear in the strategy what it's supposed to feel and why we want to do it. So I think when a company deciding it, they want to really make sure everyone understands it, because people can take it to many, many directions.
Mm-hmm. Maayan, what is your takeaway?
So I learned that other people or other disciplines will see platform in different ways. Product will see it in one way, developers will see it in other ways. The expectation to release fast versus the expectation of releasing with no bugs. And also internal, external, also big companies, small companies. So platforms should serve everyone, but also to be focused on who's first. And that's that
I would like to take away one thing that I don't remember, I think you said it, that the product manager shouldn't design the API. I think maybe it was you, Raphael, should bring the use cases and should not say how the API should look like. It should say what the API should serve. And I think that's a big change on the mindset of like many PMs that love, especially when they're technical, they love to get into the details of the APIs, and that frustrates developers.
Or actually vice versa, Mario. Some of the non-technical PMs, we get frustrated whenever we see APIs, right?
Yes.
So
I never heard about that.
Oh,
No, but sometimes I know more that developers get frustrated when a PM is telling how the API should be designed, and it's a very...
They are right, by the way. It's
100%.
like the PM is doing UX for the UX. It's also a mistake.
Yes. So we had a podcast episode all about
I know,
it.
I listened. I also mentioned there in minute 33. You see,
I remember.
I listen.
Very good, very good. So that's my takeaway. Thomas, what about yours?
yeah, I think open platform is definitely a great strategy. From what we know a lot of successful companies using it. We are actually using it. It's also one of our pillars. At the same time, I think it's still quite an untackled thing, and there are quite some blurry lines, which is amazing, right? Because there are still things to discover, to improve in there, and figure out how to do it well operationally.
Yeah, and I think Vilnius in general is moving towards having more companies that you see that they're starting to do open platforms. So these questions are starting to come up here in Lithuania. So I think it's a very good point. We are establishing, I think, great platforms here in Lithuania.
Yes.
At Wix especially, we have people that knows how to do it very good. And I see companies, I would not mention few, but I know they're working into it, and they're facing the same problems we face 4 or 5 years ago, and it's like, that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar, but yeah.
You helping them?
No.
No, you should.
No, we
He's
are.
helping.
It's not. You don't get into the details of like what they are doing. But when you're talking with some PMs, we had a conference not so long ago, and they came and they asked some questions after they give this amazing speech there. And
You know
we are
that
like,
Teddy said it was the best conference he's been in his life?
In his life?
In his
Yes.
life.
in Lithuania.
No.
No, in
No,
his
the
life, the one
conference
in
with
the conference in
Lithuania
Lithuania, he
is
said
the
it was
best in his
the
life.
best in life.
The CPO of Wix.
Yes.
Not because Wix organized it together with Vinted. That
No.
he came and he said genuinely it was the best
We need to
one.
repeat it, Mario.
Yeah, next year. Wow. Okay, this is a surprise for me, so it's a great way
We
also
came to surprise you.
Yes. Amazing. So I think that's it from today. Thank you everyone for listening, and see you in the next episode.